Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Clarified Solutions post on motivation. Today, we're going to be talking about motivation as it relates to the sources, the cycles, and the potential. So what do I mean when I'm talking about motivation in terms of its sources? So it's fairly commonly and widely accepted that motivation can come from a few different sources, those being external to ourselves, extrinsic, or internally within ourselves, intrinsic. Then the choice of taking action and the way in which that action is carried out can become introjected it can actually occur. Introjected action is when we have the intention of taking action and it's actually not seen through fully. So the sources of motivation, if they are intrinsic, that means they are prompted by a desire within yourself to achieve a particular outcome. There are so many different variables unique to each individual that can contribute to where this source stems from, what sort of lived experiences have actually built upon to create this particular type of motivation for someone. And most importantly, when there is some sort of compromised situation in someone's life who is generally intrinsically motivated, how is it that they use their self-efficacy to actually continue to propel them forward, even when there may be the odds stacked against them? So people who are intrinsically motivated don't need the encouragement of, say, work colleagues or their friends or their family. They have a burning desire to actually achieve a particular project for reasons which usually are very personal to themselves. And this project doesn't necessarily need to be a solo project. It may actually involve other people, but it's just that they don't need those regular prompts to actually add fuel to their energy and their level of motivation. They're not as highly influenced by the external sources. So in terms of another source, so people who are extrinsically motivated. Okay, so I'm sure we are familiar with many of these people in our lives, and just as a precursor, there is absolutely no judgment from myself, nor should there be any from other people in terms of which of these two categories you fall into. It's simply a different expression of how you convert your energy into action. So motivation is the process whereby your energy and your intention is converted into actions. So for people who are extrinsically motivated, those people seek external recognition and reward system to fuel future action and to inspire the change which they wish to see in their lives. Now, to ground this in an example, when you're in your workplace, if you're an extrinsically motivated person, the action which you take in order to complete a task will be the consistency of that action has a direct correlation with maybe aware of the outcome of this particular task and the quality of the work that you're putting into it. Whether or not you have a high degree of prescribed accountability. For example, has your manager given you additional duties and expectations that you'll carry out throughout this particular project? And when taking this on board, then what milestones do you set yourself in order to feel satisfied that you have actually succeeded in achieving these particular goals? So that's a slight difference between intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. So, and that's talking about the sources as was mentioned at the beginning of this. So in terms of the potential, sorry, I had a brain moment there. In terms of the potential of motivation and how that can influence us, and the cycles as well. Now, the cycles of motivation is actually where I'd like to go to next. So with cycles of motivation, this can be dependent on so many things. For example, at the moment, there is no denying that we're moving through a somewhat unprecedented during many of our lifetimes event, which is affecting people on a macro scale. So this particular cycle of influence is still in progress, with no particular certainty of when this may conclude. So with this cycle of motivation, it will have a marked effect in terms of differentiating people who are intrinsically motivated and those who are extrinsically motivated. People who are extrinsically motivated, and you know, the energy and effort with which they can put towards certain tasks is directly dependent on other people's acceptance of how well they're performing a task and the recognition, as I mentioned before. So for example, as we naturally tend to tire and need some time in order to recoup our mental energies as well as our emotional energy as well, people who are extrinsically motivated may notice a drop-off of recognition from external sources, and this would in turn compromise their motivation to actually complete a certain task. So if you notice that there are people like this in your workplace or in your friendship circles or general social circles, consider how there may be particular obstacles for them to overcome, and maybe even offer your assistance. If you're, for example, in a management role and you would like to get to understand your colleagues and employees better, one sure, fast way of doing that is actually working out what it is that are those sources of motivation. Why is it that they, for example, in a workplace, are coming to work every day, refreshed and ready to go? What are their motivating factors? Now, there may be some factors which are in common, but there may be some that are unique to that particular person. And when you realize what these unique factors are for that particular person, then what you're able to do is actually tailor your leadership style to suit these people. And you may find out that you end up having incredible results from changing the behavior of yourself as a leader. For people that are intrinsically motivated at the moment, often there is a lot of introspection which is going on in this process to constantly reassess and reevaluate where this internal source of inspiration is coming from that motivates action. So these particular people are influenced by ambiguity and uncertain cycles like the one we're currently in a very different way. However, when people who are intrinsically motivated become certain of that particular source of inspiration and have clarity in terms of the objectives of what they'd like to achieve and come back to that clear vision, then their action has almost unlimited, potential in order to progress it forward. So as I mentioned at the beginning, in terms of the sources, the cycles, and the potential of all of us to recognize and to discover more about what our style of motivation is huge. So take some time, if you have a moment, to have a look at my Instagram page this week for more information about the intrinsic and extrinsic styles of motivation and how this can really prompt and fuel the energy that then gets converted into action and results for yourself and for others. So my Instagram handle is Clarified Solutions Services, and you can also follow me on Facebook on Clarified Solutions. I look forward to many more discussions with you. If you have any comments or questions, please do let me know, and take care, and we'll speak again soon. Bye.